Hello, welcome to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another episode of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. This is season 5, it's episode 16, and it's called When All Is Said and Done. And this is the uncensored Peacock version. So I'm not sure what the original Bravo version was giving, but this was also the season finale. I'm not happy about this being the season finale, by the way. I'm actually quite sad because this has been the show. It's been my favorite show, hands down, to the point where I still haven't watched Real Housewives of Beverly Hills yet. I went directly to watching this instead. So the Beverly Hills review is coming up after this. And I might do a little bit of a review of Real Housewives of New York because this last episode of Real Housewives of New York was actually kind of decent. But it does solidify a lot of people need to go from this cast. So there's that. But anyway, sorry, I had to go off camera for a second because I just randomly got pepper on my throat. But anyway, so that's the other thing I will say is that it definitely solidified that some of the people that are on this cast just simply, yeah, they need to be done. But without further ado, let's get into this review. So right at the very beginning, we had something somewhat of like an intro to the finale. And what I mean by this is they kind of they showed all the women going to their confessionals in front of a green screen, kind of setting the tone of what we are foreshadowing what the finale was going to be. Because this particular group, like the storyline is friendship. That's the other thing that is a thing, at least when it comes to this particular franchise, is friendship. And so that whole term of what friendship is and who are your friends versus who are not your friends definitely was the crescendo for the end of the season at the dinner. But so they had basically all the women one by one going to their confessionals, kind of doing like a monologue. And Heather is doing what she does best. Whether you like or love her, she is one of the best narrators for this show. Her narrations are very, very good. Like, she is one of them that's just, I don't know if this particular franchise would have the same type of zing if Heather wasn't there, whether you like her or not. She is important for the show. That's just one of those things. No storyline in sight this season, but it's clear, she's kind of one of the faces of the franchise. I would say her and Mary are the two faces of the franchise. Heather, because she is literally your stereotypical Mormon kind of girl, and the other cast member of the show is religion. So I would say she's a huge part of it because of her Mormon background, and she brings something to this show that the other housewife shows just doesn't have, period. And Mary, I would say, is the other face of the show because, let's face it, that season that Mary was not on, I think it was season 3. I don't know who watched that season. I certainly didn't. So there's that. Anyway, so without further ado, though, let's go ahead and get into the review. First of all, we'll start here. Besides the finale intro, the first official scene is really Meredith and Heather talking, and they talk about how things transpired the other day. And Meredith basically, I guess, has a scratch in her cornea or something like that. So she has a little bit of a patch here, and interesting. And then there was a callback to Heather's black eye situation, which I guess if you like it or love it, I just wouldn't. I would say that's something that you would not want to be calling back to. But Heather, of one thing, she is kind of shameless to a certain degree. So are we surprised? No. But from there, we do get to the point where Heather's just kind of why did you yell at me though? I'm surprised you yelled at me the way you did. And honestly, if you knew what Heather said about you, I don't know. Maybe you would have yelled at her. But the thing is, Meredith doesn't know yet. But I am curious to see how this is going to give in the reunion. Because she is going to find out, clearly. But Meredith said, well, this is why I brought it up, because this is my way of apologizing. She did not apologize to her, but it was odd because I'm like, okay, Heather accepted a non-apology? Because Meredith, I know you're good with words, but an apology is, Heather, I am sorry. I didn't hear that come out of her mouth now one time. So, okay. But anyway, so then from there, the first event of the day, and this is the last day of the trip, is that Heather decided to put together, and of course, Whisper says hi. Here's Whisper. Anyway, but what was I going to say? Oh, Heather decides to put together like a little bit of a tribute to Lisa because Heather wanted to do a theme like event, like a theme lunch. And of course, the one thing that Lisa would love is an event based on her because she's narcissistic. Has very narcissistic characteristics, that lady. So basically, they do end up all having like a Lisa wig, dressing up like Lisa, and they all go to lunch. And I caught the shade. I wonder if any of y'all caught it when Mary's like, don't call me Lisa. Do not call me Lisa. I am Mary pretending to be Lisa. I was like, I feel like no one really catches it, but you can tell Mary does not see it for Lisa and never ever will. I feel like when it comes to the rest of the women, Mary can see a way there, but Lisa, she don't see it for her. And I think it is tied to the reason why a lot of us did not watch season 3. You can catch that if you want to catch it, but like, I've kind of been on that train ever since then too. I've side-eyed Lisa ever since that whole thing. And then even at the reunion last year, when they were talking about the history of the Mormon church and everyone else was owning up to that history of the Mormon church except for her. And I'm like, so I side her a lot. Just saying. Not saying, just saying. Anyway, so they're having the Lisa day. Lisa, when she sees this, she's speechless because she didn't realize this was going to be a thing. But then it was kind of a fun little scene at the beginning. So they go to lunch and everyone's saying, I love it. 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 Vocal frying it up. Sorry, I'm just like not a fan of that. But anyway, Vocal frying it up. And the server just looked like, okay, I guess. That's literally how the server was looking the whole entire time. Because they're ordering their drinks and food. And they're saying like, does it sound good? I love it. I love it. Everyone keeps doing that. Like the whole entire time is a whole bunch of Lisas. Yeah. So anyway, then after they excuse the server, let's get into what happens next. So basically everyone, Heather kind of gives like a toast, like, hey, thank you for all participating in this and having some fun with this. And then from there, everyone does like their impression of Lisa. And everyone did a pretty good job, minus Brittany. I don't know what Brittany was doing. It was weird. But then Whitney took it a step far and she's like, oh, I got to return these back. Because she basically had her tag showing, but like intentionally. And she was dressed like Lisa too a little bit. And then she was like, oh yeah, no, I have the tags out because I have to return this afterwards. And Lisa's like, I don't return my things. And then they just start getting in this yelling match. And what was wild about this is, mind you, this is literally lunchtime that they're doing all this. And there is literally children and stuff like at this resort, like just watching this. And Lisa is like calling her, like cussing her out, just cussing her out. Because again, the uncensored version, it hits different because there ain't no bleeping. She is cussing old girl out. Anyway, so then they kind of go back and forth and back. And then from there, somehow, some way, Brittany chimes in and she's just kind of like, I don't even know what brought her to the chat, but she chimed in about how she's annoyed that everyone was able to just forgive and forget this, but not what she did. And Mary and Brittany just start going back and forth. And basically, Mary and Meredith took Brittany out. It was like 1-2 punch because neither of them could see it for Brittany. They're just like, I don't care. Meredith is just like, I don't care. I don't need to get to know you. I don't want to get to know you. Because Brittany is still like, why? She's like, because she tried to throw Mary under the bus and try to say Mary was recording the girls too. And like, Brittany's like, be so for real. Like, everyone else is like, girl, this is Mary's group. She has no reason to record the girls. This is her group. Like, Mary is like an OG of the show. She has no reason to. Honestly, Mary is the damn show. So there's no reason to do all that. And so even like everyone started chiming in. It was like, and then even Heather's like, girl, you are reaching. Mary recording, you are reaching now. Like, everyone basically took after Mary because Mary was minding her own business. And the only thing that Mary does is tell the truth. That's all she's been doing when it comes to the Brittany of it all. And then Mary in her confessional, she's just like, I don't know why Brittany wants to try to start it with me, but I am not the one. And when she said that, her confessional, I felt that. I felt that in my soul. And I knew that too. I was like, I don't know why Brittany thinks Mary's the one. Mary, out of all of them, is not the one to mess with because she's the only reader of this group. She can read the girls down, but she does it in a way where she don't use a single cuss word or nothing. It's like you're getting read by God herself. Like, that's just what it is with Mary. That's just what it is. Anyway, so then Bronwyn's in the confessional also taking, siding with Mary. She's like, Brittany's just insufferable. Because we already know Bronwyn don't see it for Brittany either. So Meredith is just getting like, basically, Meredith got activated real quick, but just like eliminated her super quickly to the point where Brittany did her many spiels that she always does. I want to go home. Oh my God, I'm leaving. I want to go home. And then she leaves. And Mary's just like, no, if she wants to leave, let her leave. I'm so sick of her doing that because literally, I bet if you go over this season, she has done that every single scene. But someone always comes after her and brings her back in. And this time it was Angie. Mary was fuming. And not for the reason why we thought. We thought, Mary was mad because she's like, are you kidding me? We don't like her. We don't like her. By we, that means Angie, I'm gonna need you to take the same beefs I have. If I don't like her, you don't like her. That's why I thought it was giving at first, but then we find out later on there is more to the story, and we'll get there. Anyway, moving on. So basically, it ends up being Angie, Lisa, and Heather comforting Brittany. She's crying, but there's no tear in sight this time. And then from there, they go off to their separate excursions. So 4 of the ladies went horseback riding and the other 4 went to make some ceviche. And so we have Lisa, Bronwyn, Mary, and Meredith doing the horseback riding. And the horses did not seem very much amused. They looked like they want nothing to do with it. And it was kind of scary. And Mary's commentary the whole entire time was killing me. I was dying. She's like, falling off a horse, you don't want that. You're going to end up having arthritis and all these things. You're going to end up like basically having a defect. You're going to have a defect. I was like, Mary. The way Mary talks in her confessional, she's like, you're going to end up having a defect. You don't want no defect. Mary, I love it. I just have to say it. I love it. Mary and her animation, she just is like, oh my gosh, she's one of one. But anyway, so then also that she had the commentary about like, why is Meredith like riding this horse? If you're hard hearing, this is not the time to be bonding with a horse. There's certain things when you have like, elements that isn't 100%, you sit out. This is one of those things you should be sitting out. And I was dying when Mary was saying that. But then afterwards, we had a little bit of a pause in between where everyone was like kind of on the beach. The horses are gone and they're just kind of talking things over. And Mary's like, I'm done with Angie. I'm so mad at her. I'm done with her. And I did not expect Mary to fly off the handle the way she did. She wanted to end the whole entire friendship. So this is a prequel of what we saw. She was so mad at her for siding with, from her eyes, she saw it as because Angie is just a nice person, just comforting her. She saw that as Angie siding with Brittany when it comes to everything she's saying about her. And she's like, why would she do that? And the girls are like, does Angie know? She's like, no, I've told Angie how I feel about Brittany. Brittany does not like me. Brittany hates me. And so that is the thing. And I don't know if maybe I'm trying to read in between the lines so much because it's Mary. But I will say this, just from what I've observed when it comes to this show, at least in my personal, I might be reaching, let me know. I think when it comes to some of these women on the show, because it is Salt Lake City, and because there ain't that many of us in the area that, Mary's at, I think when she says someone doesn't like her, I think she's speaking in code. And I might be reaching, but for those who haven't been following the show from day one, Mary actually had, legitimate reasons to never want to be on the show again. She had someone who had the isms project their isms at her and threw a glass at her back at season 2 and did the most disrespectful thing ever. And then it come to find out, she had all these horrible things on her social media about the isms. Like, she was clearly an ACEs. Yeah, she was clearly that. And this woman was a legitimate friend of Lisa. So I think by proxy, I think it's not a coincidence that Mary's never solid for Lisa. Because again, company you keep. I think also that's the reason why Mary for a while was beefing with Whitney. Because Whitney had an event that old girl crashed, but we didn't know that she crashed it. It looked like Whitney invited this girl, but she came. But no, that's not what it was. This girl was trying to clean up her image after she got outed for being an ACEs, and tried to use Whitney. And I think that's the other apologies that happened behind the scenes, and that's why Mary and Whitney are good now. I think they had an actual true conversation when it came to all of that. So I think when Mary's talking about people not liking her and certain things like that, I think she's talking about I think she's talking in code a lot of times. But also, too, I think Mary's very guarded. It's very clear Mary's guarded. This season's the first time we've actually really gotten to know Mary for real, outside the surface. And I love her. I already liked her already, but like, child, she pretty much put the show on her back this season. Her, Bronwyn, and like Angie, and then Brittany to a certain extent, all of them put this show on their back and made a season. One of the best seasons I've ever seen in Housewives history, honestly. One of the best. But I know I'm going on and on and on, but I think that's, to me, and maybe I'm reaching, I think that's what she means that Brittany doesn't like her. Because even the way Mary viewed how Brittany said that she was projecting that she was allegedly poor, even though she didn't say it like that. You know what I mean? I think that's how Mary read it, though. You kind of, I feel like in these type of environments, and the further away you get from like the South, where they're going to be obvious about their isms, you got to watch how people talk to you and act towards you. And the micros. We'll just say that. And the micros. Anyway, so that's why I think Mary is upset. It's not about her, Brittany, not liking her and you're siding with her. I think Mary's reasons why she thinks Brittany doesn't like her. Catch it. Anyway, so then after that, on the other side, we see the women, Brittany, Heather, and Whitney. They're doing the ceviche thing. And it was a pretty cute scene, but not really anything happened on their side. And then fast forward, then we do end up having the ladies getting ready for dinner. And this dinner was amazing looking. And pretty much the rest of the episode surrounded on this dinner. Because everything I described here to this point was the first 30 minutes, and the rest of the 30 minutes was his dinner. It was that epic. But anyway, so the ladies are at the dinner, and they're at this luxury theme park in Puerto Vallarta, and it looks amazing. And one thing, how things start is Bronwyn does start everyone off with like a toast, a Mexican toast, and everyone does a cheers. And we're thinking everything's going to be hunky-dory, but we know that's not how that's going to go because there is a half an hour left on this show. Anyway. And so next we have Angie and Meredith. They're both just like, we're getting along. We're getting along. So I think they actually finally they're done with the beef. They have a fresh start. So, and both of them were saying it together, and they're both just like, okay, we're good here. So hopefully at the reunion, I better not see not one of y'all go backwards. Please don't do that. I want y'all to go forward because we're sick of this beef between y'all. At least I am. I'm sick of it. I mean, I don't even know what the beef is about anymore. I think it started. Did it maybe start at season 4? No. Did it start at season 3? Some of y'all, and I did, side note, so I've seen a couple of y'all comments talking about how like Angie started this when it comes to the beef with Meredith and her. I'm about to be fully transparent with y'all, and I don't know if maybe y'all knew this or not. Y'all know I did not watch season 3 of this show, right? Yeah, so anything that happened in season 3, you might need to put in the comments what happened for me to understand why they're beefing and how Angie started this. Because, yeah, I did not watch season 3. Mary wasn't there and neither was I. That is how season 3 went for me. I'm just saying, I'm just going to call a thing. When Mary left, I did too. And she's back, and so am I. That is literally how this went. Okay, I'm about to be just so for real with you when it comes to that. Anyway, so but yeah, so they're patching things up. But I guess as far as we're concerned, apparently this beef started at season 3 and is now season 5. So yeah, they need to be done with it. And then from there, Angie just tries to say something nice to Mary, and Mary is just shut down and won't talk to her. And then Angie's like, what did I do? And Mary's like, you know what you did. Like you took her side. And I was just so blown away that they had this whole entire conversation in front of all the ladies. And I am going to give all the ladies their 10s for this because none of them chimed in and tried to make something and make it about them. I love that they gave it room to breathe and let them two hash it out and let it be. And that was beautiful because they did resolve it. Thank God. And I cried. I cried at this point because this is where Mary, that wall, I feel like this whole entire season has been a season of Mary's walls coming down, but it's like not all at once. It's like she's taking it off brick by brick. So we're finally seeing her and not guarded her. We're seeing Mary Cosby. And she was really hurt by like what happened there, but like I think there's more to it than what we're talking about. And Mary also did give us a little bit more of what it was also. Is Mary's like, I have serious abandonment issues. And she went into the details of her abandonment issues about how her dad just left her and didn't care. Like, her immediate family failed Mary. Badly. Badly. To the point where you understand why she loves Robert Jr. so hard the way she does. And why she looks at Brittany like she ain't ish. Because it literally is, she feels trauma. I feel like Mary feels traumatized when it comes to anyone that has any type of characteristic of being deadbeat-ish, because her parents were that for her. And so I think it's layered with that. And I also think, it's the abandonment issues and, both of them just start crying at the table. And you want to know another thing? Angie, you're a real one. You're a real one. Because still, what never came up this whole entire season? The thing that happened with Robert Jr. She kept that. She never told them. And so even when they were talking to each other and having this hash out at the table, them two are talking to each other in code. And I was just like, see, I love this because you could tell it's a real friendship, bro. Like, this is a real friendship between them two. And it's so genuine to the point where they're talking in code. I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And you know what? Maybe that's the reason why this franchise is working so well, because a lot of these women on this show actually have genuine friendships, or at least respect each other enough where, there's something there. It's not them being fake. It's not them not seeing each other after the fact. Like, so I like seeing that they patched it up. And then from there, that was probably a little bit of a healing. And it kept going, or healing, as healing. Is that how? I don't know how Whitney says it, but you get the point. But let's go into what happens after this, because child, it just gets, it goes good and then goes to hell, then goes good and then goes to hell. But that is how this franchise rolls. So then next, here we have Meredith. She's like, okay, I'm glad that got cleared up. Meredith is like approaching Whitney. She's like, that podcaster that you said that you talked to, I talked to him too, and he says that you're lying. He's saying that you put some stank on this and you were looking for something. And this is where Up and Adam got mentioned, because he's the podcaster, he's the YouTuber that they're talking about. And Whitney's like, no, I know you've been saying these things about me because I double checked it. She's not the only one that double checked it with. And the ladies are like, what are you talking about? She's like, oh, I talked to Monica. And ball drop. Everyone was pissed at Whitney. And Whitney's like, look, I don't trust none of y'all enough, like, to the point where it was like, I felt like I had to do that. And Mary had Whitney's back immediately. She's like, y'all are not the nicest of people. So, like, let's be so for real. Of course she did that. And all the women are like, what? She's like, I felt that way before with y'all. I didn't do that, but I felt the same way Whitney felt with y'all. I felt that way before. So I think that's also what we're seeing from Mary too this season based off of that. Mary, when it comes to like the women who are trying to do alliances and ice people out, Mary's not letting that happen. Mary's like, we're not doing that kind of crap on my watch. I could tell that's kind of what's happening. So I feel like there's also like, Mary's going to have Whitney's back. Because there's an understanding there. Because they are trying. I feel like some of the OGs were trying to ice Whitney out. And because Mary's there, it's not going to happen. And it's really Lisa. It's not all of them. I think it's really just Lisa. And we're like, we're not going to do that. hopefully it doesn't get to a point where there's a divide. Hopefully they can just, because the way this ended, child, I don't know how next season's gonna go. All I know is I'm excited for the reunion. But anyway, so moving on, everyone gets past the whole point of Whitney contacting Monica, and Heather does end up making a speech. She's like, you know what? It makes sense why you would do that, because we have been operating the same way as how Monica's acting. And it's like, ding, 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 ding. If y'all go to my reunion for this show with Monica, I said that they were all being hypocrites, because literally what you're accusing Monica of doing, they were all doing the same thing, going to different bloggers, getting dirt and stuff like that. And they finally put that out there in this episode that they were all doing this. But yet you nailed Monica to the cross as if she was the only one doing it. It's just she just happened to be of a blogger who's on the show at the same time. But like, I'm sorry, in my opinion, how's that different from Tamara being on, OC? I think it's the same, honestly. It's actually worse with Tamara. But anyway, not that I want Monica back. We don't need to see her back, because this season went well. I forgot about her, honestly, till she just got brought up this episode, truthfully. But yeah, so Heather makes a speech, and she's like, and she comes up with this brilliant, which was a horrible idea, side note, but great for our entertainment, that they're going to read each other's meanest meanest text messages or messages to each other, and have that person, like whoever the energy was towards, you're handing them the phone, they're going to read it about themselves. And the goal of this is we're putting it out there, and then we're done with it. We're going to forgive. We're going to take ownership and be done with it. And it's not going to be mentioned. We're not going to be talking about it ever again. Basically, she said, this is a burn book. Our cell phones are the burn books, and we're going to just read this burn book and be done with it. And it was good, actually. This actually did more than what they thought it was going to do, I think, because now they have a clear of who's real on this show and who's fake. And who really is here for the friendships and who really isn't. So let's go in order one by one how this happened, and then towards the end, as things were falling apart, is where we're getting the Real Housewives ending stuff. So let's go over that, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Oh, and side note, coming soon, I will have a Real Housewives reunion looks review for this franchise as well as Real Housewives of New York coming up. So anyway, look out for that. So Mary starts us first, and she hands her phone to Heather. And Mary's a real one. Mary is a real one. Her message to her was like, look, I want the Heather that used to be the person who I used to know. You've changed. Fame has gotten to your head. This, that, and this, and that. You've filled yourself a little too much. I want you to be, I want you to not be in competition with everyone, but then realize we all care and always want you to win and still want you to win. It was her read for Heather was it wasn't mean-spirited at all. It was hurtful probably to hear, because one thing about Mary is her reads are not, I feel like Mary's reads are not mean-spirited necessarily. Some of her word choices, yes. I will say that. When she called her inbred, back in season 1, yes. That was wild to call someone that. But anyway, we're just going to go past that. But yeah. So Heather received it. And she forgave her. And she was like, yes. And Heather actually opened up. And she's like, I was lost when I first joined this group. Like had no sense of direction. Now I have a sense of purpose. Now I'm doing nice things for myself, and I'm finally putting on boundaries and all this stuff, this, that, and this, and that. And she basically said, I could see how you would think that that's what it was. She took it in stride, and they buried it. So I think Heather and Mary's Cold War of a French, I think it's subsided a little bit. Now, do I think Mary trusts Heather all the way? Oh, no, absolutely not. Trust is earned, not given, and that's where she stands on that, and I get that because I stand on that too. But anyway, so then from there, we have Brittany giving her thing to Mary, and it was stupid. It was so weird. It was like, I would invite Bronwyn to a tea party instead of Mary. That was the meanest thing she said. And you could tell she didn't take that seriously. And everyone was just like, girl, what? Okay, moving on. And then from there, we had Bronwyn and Brittany. And Bronwyn read Brittany down. And Bronwyn was still standing on big business. She's like, this is how I feel about you. It is. Now, you could take it or leave it. I'm sorry if this hurts your feelings, but this is how I feel. I'm apologizing. But she was just literally how I am right here. She was like, you could take it or leave it. So I don't know how that's going to go, but I don't think they're ever going to be friends. That's safe to say. But anyway, after that, then we had Angie and Bronwyn. Now, what Angie said about Bronwyn, girl. Because because these are the other two readers on this show. And you have the two other readers not getting along. Bronwyn is a type that will read you, but read you with words. And will word salad you, read you down. And I would say Angie has went to the school of Candace from Potomac. Her words are lethal. She goes to hell with her words. And this text was no different. I was like, oh my God. So she talked about, and in context, so Angie, she did state, she's like, look, I said these things about your marriage and about you because I was so mad at you. This was after the camping trip that we did, and you threw me under the bus. And side note, so when Angie and Mary were having their heart to heart, pardon me, I need to get more water. Their heart to heart in regards to them patching up their friendship and making sure that they're still good as sisters. Both Angie and Mary have abandonment issues. And the way they handle their abandonment issues are kind of different. So Mary is very much, don't start none, won't be none. I will read you to death and then I'm gone. Gone, nice and clean sweep type thing. Angie's on the side of, you're starting with me. You took it to hell. I'm like, you took it to earth. I'm taking it to the depths of hell. And then I'm gone. So different approaches. But anyway, so Bronwyn forgave it. She's not going to hold it against her, but it did hurt her feelings that she was able to cut that deep. But that is Angie. Angie, when you hurt her, she cuts you deep. It's not a quick, gone, I don't see you anymore type thing. It's not the unbothered approach. It's a different approach. But anyway, so then from there, then we have Lisa and Meredith, and there was a crock of ish. Lisa saying, this is the meanest thing I ever said to you, Meredith. It was less mean than her hot mic moment. So we know she's BSing there. So again, another person who's not taking this seriously. Side note, we never did get to Meredith doing this. That was interesting. But anyway, go on. So I'm going to go on then. And then we have Heather giving her phone to Whitney of the things that she said about Whitney. And it was pretty messed up too. And Heather was like, this was literally after I felt betrayed by you. And this is back in season 2. Because their beef started in season 2. Heather and Bad Weather's the divide of Bad Weather. This is the first season where we're seeing them kind of being cordial and cool, but up until this episode, and maybe I'm hoping this is how now they're good now, but I don't know if they're ever going to be good because Whitney just be doing things that are questionable, and she does it a lot. Sorry, I had to move my cat. My cat was sweating me out because she just loves being right next to me. But anyway, yeah. So they had a heart-to-heart. They cried it out, and they're good. And then Whitney gives her phone to Lisa. And Lisa did not handle any of this well. She's the only one that flew all the way off the handle. Because Whitney, and the thing is, what Whitney read to her, it was graphic, but Whitney prefaced that she didn't even believe what was said here about her. She said, I don't believe this to be true, but this is what was said to me. Lisa took that and ran and just read her to death, would not accept an apology from her, and then just flew off the handle. And then Angie's like, but she didn't, she says she doesn't believe it. No one here at this table believes it. And Lisa's like, I don't care if anyone believes it. Now we don't talk about my John. And Bronwyn was like, there is something bad said about my husband. You don't see me flying off the handle. And then out of nowhere, Lisa's like, Angie, it's like someone saying Sean gives circ and jerks. And everyone was like, and Angie lost it. Angie went from 0 to 100. She got up, threw Lisa's flowers at her. And she's like, why would you do that? Why would you say something like that? Because we know it's taken pretty much the whole entire season long for... There was already speculation that was going on when it comes to Sean's relationship, Sean and Angie's relationship as it is. So the first chance that Lisa has to talk about it, she does, even though Angie had nothing to do with this argument whatsoever. You just brought her in this. Yeah. I understood why Angie reacted the way she did. She's like, we just now finally got over these rumors and now you're trying to bring them back? Are you serious? And so the producers had to intervene and get Angie out of there because I think she was about to nuck if you buck her. Because like her boobs were falling out and everything. She was falling out of her dress about to like attack her. She was pissed. And Mary was like, don't do that. Oh my gosh, don't do that. And then Mary is like, Lisa, why would you do that? Why would you bring her in this? And everyone's just looking at Lisa in full disgust. Like, why would you bring her in this? This had nothing to do with her. And why you bring her husband into it? And so then Lisa, after this is where we see Angie's like thing. I'm going to read each thing one by one. Actually, I'll read it one by one. Or actually, you know what? We're going to put it on the screen. I did screenshots of it like while I was watching the episode. So you're going to see Peacock in the episode on it. But anyway, we're going to put it here and then you can read each thing and then go from there. So then after that, then Bronwyn in her confessional, she's just like, Lisa is despicable. She is a narcissist. You know, because Bronwyn's even like, I literally had someone say something about my husband and I did not fly off the handle. And you did that? I got accused of being a gold digger. And you did all that? Everyone else was willing to forgive and forget, but not you. And this is where, and Meredith then, she's like, I'm done. And Meredith leaves. I found that very convenient because it was Meredith's turn. And this is what a lot of us, including me, have a problem with Meredith on. She does not take accountability. Just like the beginning of this episode, her apology, non-apology, no accountability. Also, the husbands, when you saw that the husbands were on the table when it comes to like the text messages, you didn't want that to touch you near you. So you were looking for an excuse to get up out of there. So as soon as Lisa had her exit, you made your exit right behind her. Convenient. And Mary at the end, she's like, because then Heather's just like, oh my gosh, this did not go how I thought it was going to go. And I think this is one of the few episodes where Heather was like actually being Heather. She wasn't being her weird version of her that isn't really her. I think this Heather that we saw here towards the end trying to resolve the issues reminds me of Heather when she was a fan favorite. It reminded me of that. And honestly, when Mary said what she said about Heather, I think she was speaking for a lot of us. Like, we liked you and now we don't. I feel like she kind of was saying that too. I don't know. But anyway, so Heather was just like, that is not how I thought this was going to go. And Mary's like, you know what? I'm glad you were brave enough to do this, because the people that stood here and took it and took accountability, and those who didn't, that says something right there of who's real and who's fake. The two fake people are gone. And Brittany didn't share anything for it to be anything. So I kind of put her in the category of fake also to a certain degree. I don't put Angie in that category. Angie got escorted out by producers because she was about to get Lisa. Because one thing that I've noticed about Angie, don't talk about her family. Her family is all she has. So she's like that. Do not talk about her family. But anyway, after that, then you saw one by one on what's going on with all the rest of the ladies. And that's where the episode ended. I did watch the after show. The after show didn't really add much to what we already saw, other than we did get a little bit of the comedy of it all when it comes to, does Lisa return her luxury clothes? Which is kind of ironic because Lisa was the one who was accusing Melly of doing that, which is actually Whitney's friend or something like that. The friend of that we only saw like 3 times and we didn't see her again. So that's interesting. But Bronwyn in the after show was so shady. She was like, I'm not sure if Lisa does it, but I know Brittany does because I've seen her do it. I was like, ooh, dang. But other than that, yeah, nothing else really happened here. I'm so disappointed that this season's over with. This is one of those seasons, they could have had 20 something episodes. I would have been tuned in. I would have stayed. Now, don't get any ideas, because I think this format, what you're doing for this show, it leaves us wanting more. I want to want more. I don't want you to kill it. Okay. But anyway, that does conclude this review. Hopefully you enjoyed the season like I did. But in the meantime, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner. And I will see you next time. Bye.